Hey guys, welcome back to the Culturalist podcast, Conversations with Pam Ross. I'm so excited that you are going to watch or listen to this podcast today. I just had an amazing conversation with my brand new friend. Her name is Krystal Zellmer, Zellmer. Her book is called Life by Intention. Krystal is a powerhouse, guys. She's an international transformational facilitator in experiential leadership. She's an author, she is a platform speaker, and she is a believer. Not just a believer in Christ, she's a believer in people. And it really comes across in this interview that we had all about her book, Life by Intention. I learned so much about the difference between what I want and what I intend. I learned so much about why results really do matter even more than the method. If you are someone who's trying to solve a problem or get a breakthrough, if you're someone who's frustrated and you know you are a producer, but you're just having a hard time, this is the podcast for you. Listen to it more than once, okay? Because Krystal drops some amazing wisdom on us. This is the Culturalist Podcast. I'm Pam Ross. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Pam Ross, the Culturalist. I love good conversations with interesting people. In this podcast, we use the art of conversation to explore what's happening in culture. Thanks for joining us. Hello, how are you, Krystal?
I am so good, Pam. Excited to be here with you.
First of all, what did you have for breakfast today? Did you have breakfast?
I had a 4-shot latte.
You know what? I need to put on my seatbelt because if you had a 4-shot latte, this conversation will be anything but slow. Let me hurry up.
Anything but slow, for sure. That's just my normal start to the day. Yeah.
That's your normal start to the day, really?
That's my normal start to the day. Yeah.
That is so funny. Do you know, I didn't start drinking coffee until I was 40, but yeah, it's
That's
hilarious. Awesome. I'm a late bloomer, but now that I'm in the coffee gang, I'm in for life. It's gang. I'm caffeine. I love it. Yeah, I didn't start drinking coffee till I was in my 40s, and the church I was attending had a Starbucks in the lobby.
Oh.
And I said, let's just see what I like here. And so my family tells the most hilarious story of me walking through very deep snow and beginning to fall. And I fell kind of sideways forward, but my latte was in the air.
You knew what to protect in that moment.
Oh, honey.
If I'm going to be covered in snow, I'm going to have coffee.
I know, that's right, because I know when I get out of this snow. When I get out of this snow, I'm going to want to drink this coffee. So yeah, I agree with you. I didn't go to Starbucks, but that's a wonderful idea. But I had good strong coffee this morning, so I'm ready to rock and roll. First of all, thank you for writing this book, Life by Intention. Thank you so much.
I have to honored, actually.
I have to ask you, was it your idea to write it, or was it a work assignment? Did your
do you want the funny story?
Yes, I do. I love funny stories.
It was 2020, and we specialize in live experiential trainings, and we weren't doing live experiential trainings in 2020. And I was frustrated, mad, and a little in my whiny victim story about what I couldn't do. And my team came around me and they said, okay, Krystal, we hear you. That's what you can't do. What can you do?
Oh my. It's nothing like a good team to shift your perspective.
When I'm willing to humble myself and actually be a member of my team, that's the most powerful place that I can play on the field.
Absolutely.
And I heard them. I said, okay, well, I've talked about writing a book. I could write a book. Yeah. And they said, okay, by when? I was like, by December 31st, 2020, you'll have a rough draft. And I did. That's when I had my first rough draft in my hand.
Yeah.
The last day of the year, and I released it and launched it in April, I think, of 2021. And that's where the book came from. I would love to say that I was like, this world needs this message. And really, I was
No.
just frustrated and I was being squeezed. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if I'm going to be squeezed, the best way to get unstuck is to give something. What can I give?
Yeah. That's a smart principle. Really, really smart. I don't know. I wanted to ask you that question because I listened to your book.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Yep.
listened to it a couple of times. And when I was at first, I just wanted to listen and enjoy it. And then the second time I wanted to listen and get some questions for you from it. But I kept getting the impression that I could feel the strength of your team, both your predecessor and your successors. I
Yeah.
could feel the strength of your team in your book.
Yeah.
And so I felt like this was she had some people cheering her on
I did.
to produce this book. I also appreciate the fact that you voiced it yourself. So we
Thank
got
you.
all of your yeah,
You got all of my mannerisms.
we got all of your mannerisms. And even though I've only met you, I think I may have met you once or twice. I don't know if I
Yeah.
met you on that Sunday and the retreat, but I could hear you and I could imagine your expressions, particularly with okay, I could really hear that. I could really, really hear that. And I so appreciate it. And
Good.
so the book is written about a formula: intention plus mechanism equals results.
Yes.
And the idea of focus on results, I think, is rather novel
Yeah.
in this day and age.
Totally.
Because I don't know how old you are, but I wasn't raised in the generation where everybody got a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I was raised in the generation of go out on the field and shake the hand of the winner.
Totally.
So if you made it to the playoffs and you didn't win,
Yeah.
it was you got to be a good sport. And
Absolutely.
everybody didn't get a trophy. And so that idea of results mattering
Yeah.
and they matter in so many ways as a reflection of your intention.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask this: are you finding any conversations around this focus on result rather than focus on effort?
Yeah, I think that I am privileged and honored that most people who want to work with me really are hungry for something different. And
Yeah.
so at least there's this healthy tension within themselves of not just
Yes.
justifying their own position and really like, okay, what is it you're doing different that's creating the result? And me
Mm-hmm.
getting to really work that angle. And
Yeah.
yeah, I I think it became very popular in the pendulum swing that everybody gets a trophy. And we're in
Yes.
the um law of unintended consequence around that now. And I think we're
Yep.
coming back into this healthy balance. And so do I get to have conversations with people who are a bit um frustrated when I'm like, yeah, you're
Yeah.
exactly where
I'm
you are
doing
because
the
of the
right
decisions
things. And
you've
it's not,
made.
yeah, I could imagine someone saying to you, well, I'm doing the right things. It's not my fault
Yeah.
that I didn't
Yeah.
get the result, you know?
And I'm a personal responsibility fanatic, right? I'm like, don't you dare try to take my personal responsibility away from me. I don't think it's fault or blame. And it is a result of my choices. And there's choices
Yeah.
that I'm making that could potentially be great choices. And they're not getting me what it is I say I want. So whether or not they're good doesn't mean they're what I get to keep doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so brilliant. This is what I loved about the book. It took the shame out of
Oh,
not
yeah.
getting it right, not getting it right the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time. The thing that it was provoking to me to be creative.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I often tell my team, I often say, the first ingredient of a good idea is a bad idea. So what didn't work?
Yeah.
What can we learn from what didn't work? And let's try something else. So it
Absolutely.
takes the shame out of that fact that I'm doing something, but it's not working.
Totally.
And so if
And
I
most
don't
people are
get,
so attached to that first idea
we are.
and they get more attached to the mechanism or the thing they're doing than they do to the result that they're creating.
Mm-hmm. And then you just go harder and deeper. And the frustration comes because you feel like you're stuck in the snow. We live in the Midwest.
Yeah, we do.
So you know what it is when you dig your heels in
Yep.
and you rev and rev and rev
And then someone says, why don't you get out and push? Or why don't you
Totally.
maybe put it in reverse? Or,
Yeah.
well, why don't you try something new? My other question for you is this: what are most people missing about intentionality?
I think most people miss that your intention is your deepest commitment. And most people don't realize that they have unconscious commitments to things that are actually
Mm,
holding them back from the result it is they say they want.
yeah.
So
I find,
like an example, people will be in a meeting and they'll go, well, nothing got done in the meeting. And then when you start to dig, it's like, well, my suggestion in the book is, well, your intention was to get nothing done. And people are like, no,
yeah,
I really wanted to get something done. Well, what you want has nothing to do with what you create. What you're
you know
committed
what?
to has everything to do with what you
Yeah,
create.
this is actually what I wrote in my notes. This idea of what you want has nothing to do with what you create in life. And how many times have we heard you just got to want it enough?
Yeah.
You got to want it. You got to write it, put it in a dream board. You got to chant. I mean, people are doing all, people are lighting incense and, they're doing, they're doing all kinds of things to demonstrate a desire, but desire is different from intention.
Uh-huh.
How so?
Well, and I find I love one of the things that I was so intrigued about how you operate is your masterful use of words. Like you're
Mm,
really powerfully designed that way.
thank
I think
you.
so much comes down to definition. And we could be talking about the
Yes.
same word and working off of different definitions. And then all of a sudden we're in this battle. And it's like, oh, well, we were saying
Yes.
the same thing. So I don't know that the word good, bad, right, or wrong, just my definition of intention isn't what somebody else's is, but mine is
Yeah.
your deepest, most passionate commitment. And if
Okay.
that's the definition we're working off of, that is some people's on like burning desire. That could be their definition for that. But I think most people operate off of a definition that desire or want is um, something they're willing to chase, not something they're
Yes.
just committed to, no excuses, which is just
Yes.
different. If I'm willing
Yeah.
to chase something, at some point I'm going to be willing to quit. And if I'm
Yes.
committed to something, I'm not, there's no, quit's not an option. Finding a
Yeah.
way is an option, but quit's not an option.
Finding a way is an option. Let me tell you, I want to tell you how you inspired me. I launched my group coaching cohort. We did our first session from the time of this recording is Monday.
Oh, so excited.
And so orientation was coming up.
Yeah.
I wanted 10 executives in this cohort.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about what I was learning from you in your book.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, Pam, if your result is 10 and you're doing the things you've always done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, what would I have not done?
Yes.
Not what haven't I done, but what would I have not thought about doing? So I started sending personal invitations to people.
Yeah.
Regardless of if I thought they could afford it, if I thought they had the time,
Yes.
And I said, oh yeah. I said, hey, you may not be in an executive right now, but I feel like this is where you're going, or your leadership. Just began to tell them why I felt like they would benefit from this.
Yeah.
I had 10.
Yes. Way too loud in my excitement in this microphone, but that's it. And even for the people who said, and this is where I just think God blesses, he chooses not to bless steps you're just unwilling to take, is my philosophy.
Yes.
Even if the steps are messy and an army crawl. But all those people who you were in relationship with who even didn't choose to come now felt encouraged, lift up, seen, edified, all because you were willing to take a different action outside of what you normally would have done. I think that that's awesome.
I
Incredible.
loved it because it was so convicting to me, because I think sometimes we want our results, but we want them our way.
Yes. 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 Which is just like,
yes. And we don't want to admit that. We don't want to
Totally.
admit that. We want, I want it to be delivered in a nice, neat way. Or I just want to do the work and have it work,
Yes.
you know? And
I had a plan. I had a structure. I had a system. I had a, yeah.
yes. And
Yep.
so a lot of times when your book was provoking me to say, okay, Pam, what methods are you married to?
Oh,
Basically.
that's good. Yep.
Yeah. What
Yep.
methods are you married to? You shouldn't be committed to the method. You've got to be committed to getting the results. And it
Yeah.
was so freeing.
Good.
It really was. It was so freeing.
Good.
So I love this idea of not just in our business, but actually living our whole lives with intention. And it's provoked me really to think about what are the results I want in every area of my life.
Yeah.
And then what methods have I been married to that have kept me from getting it? The other concept you spoke about, and man, I need to just come and spend a day with you, and we'll talk about how people
Love
do
that.
that.
Yeah, I would love that.
Is this idea of these sunglasses?
Yes.
Can you talk about that? Can you just tell us about this whole idea of these sunglasses?
Absolutely. I actually have some in the other room. I didn't even think to bring them. Because I have these big, hilarious ones
Oh,
that
of
are
course.
really like I could leave and go grab them for you. They're hilarious. And my dad used to wear them. So I was taught this from, who taught me, who taught him. And
Yeah.
basically it's the idea that if you could imagine that you were born with, I was born with this pair of sunglasses, dark green,
Mm-hmm.
big pair of sunglasses. I've been wearing them my whole life long. I have no
Wow.
idea they exist. They're as much a part of me as my
You
arm.
have no idea they exist.
No idea they exist. Don't even know that sunglasses are a thing. And if
Yeah.
that's true, and I've never had them off, and I don't even know that sunglasses exist, then if we were in this conversation, then I would say that the piece of paper you're reading the book on, or the back wall that you're looking at, or this couch, I would say all of those things were green,
Green. Yeah.
right? And you could
Yeah.
love me enough to tell me the truth, which is fascinating because I do live seminars and talk about this all the time. The amount of
Uh-huh.
times I go, okay, well, what would you say to me, Pam? And people will go, oh, I'd just say that's nice. And I went, you wouldn't tell me maybe that you see something different than me, even if you don't need to make me wrong about it, but just to acknowledge that you see something different than I do. Like,
Ma'am,
wow, we're in a whole different place in our society,
can
right?
I just pause you right there? The
Yeah.
idea that different is not always wrong.
Oh my gosh, please,
I
more of
see
that.
it differently. Let me tell you, I'm a leadership trainer. I'm in a lot of rooms and a lot of tables with leaders. And the language of leadership is I see it differently. In fact, when I meet with my team, I will ask, does
Yes,
anybody see it differently? We're so conflict averse, it'll wreck your whole organization.
it totally will. I mean, the healthiest thing you can do in an organization is allow healthy conflict, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
Like,
I think about, we're both Christians. We love the
yes,
Bible. I think
yes.
about how the Bible says, as iron sharpens iron,
Yeah.
so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. And the Amplified, it says through conversation.
Yeah.
And so I kept relating that scripture to these sunglasses
Yes.
of that when you have the right friends around you, they can shift your perspective, like your
100%.
book did for me.
Thank you. There you go. And we use Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
Not how you
Yes.
think in your head.
Right.
What you
How you
believe in your
think in your
heart is
heart.
what's coming out of you,
Wow.
and you don't even recognize it's happening. So if we were in this conversation and I say it's green and you say, hey, Krystal, it's white, I would say you're crazy, you're a fool. Anybody
Yeah.
can see that it's green. And then you might insist, hey, it is white.
Mhm.
And then like I would be like, any fool could see, right? Like what? And
Yeah.
we're seeing this and this is where it turns into, how do we coexist when we see things different?
Yeah.
And a whole room could see exactly what's going on in my life. I would have no ability to see it until I'm willing. Nobody can rip sunglasses off of my face, which is what we're trying to do as a society. And if I
Wow.
have an opportunity to discover my own, and for me and for us, allow
Yeah.
God to do a work in my life, Lord, show me what I am currently unable to see. And I go on a hunt because I think it's going to take effort on my part, right?
Yeah.
I get to go on a hunt. I get to discover that sunglasses exist and maybe I have some of my own. And the second I stumble into mine in a discovery process and I take them off, instantly I have a revelation, which to
Wow.
me means I have a renewing of my mind. I can see something that's not new, but it's new to me.
Yes.
That's a revelation. It happens like that, which is when you
And
have
that's how people change.
quantum leaps of change in a very short period of time happens through revelation.
I love this idea of, I don't even know they exist. I have a conversation with someone who loves me enough to be real with me,
Yes.
but they can't take it off of me.
They can't.
I got to be the one to consider. And that's the thing. Would you just consider?
Yes.
I had an older lady in my life. She's gone to be with the Lord. When she would have disagreements with her husband, she would say, and she was a pastor's wife, he was a pastor. She would say to him, "You just don't understand." And I said to her, once he called Mom, I said, "Mom, could it be that he completely understands you and yet disagrees?"
Yes. And what if you approach the exact same conversation with, instead of "you don't understand,"
Yeah.
would you just consider with me?
Yes. Would you just consider?
Would you just
And so
consider?
I love the fact that you have to go on a hunt because the work is real, but the work is so absolutely rewarding.
Yeah.
Show me what I'm seeing. Show me how I'm seeing. One of my favorite faith preachers, Pastor Bill Winston, has a quote. Years and years ago, he said this: "You don't see with your eyes, you see through them."
Yeah.
And it is so in alignment with this concept of
Yeah.
what sunglasses am I wearing and the fact that I'm born with them.
Yeah.
I think a lot
Well,
of
and
times
some
people,
you were born with, and some you were trained into, and some you were conditioned, and some was
yes.
trauma, and some was like they come from all sorts of different places.
Oh, wow. So you can just pick them up along the way and just keep stacking them on.
Yeah.
And
And I
how
would
you see the world is totally filtered by that.
100%. And then not only is it filtered through, you'll dismiss opportunities that don't agree with what your belief system is. You won't even see it.
Let me tell you, I have a very good friend, and she won't mind me. She won't mind me sharing this story.
Yeah.
She said to me, I'm trying to think of, we were talking about race in America. 2020 was it just came bubbling up.
Totally.
She's Caucasian. And we were just talking about unarmed Black men and women being shot by police.
Yeah.
So she's just not getting it. She's not getting my frustration and my pain. I spent the whole day with her. I drove into her town. We spent the whole day. Later that day, we're two single girls. We're talking about men, right? We're talking about men. Enough of politics. Now we're talking about
Now
men.
we're talking about men. Yeah.
Okay, now we're talking about men. We love men. So she says something about, she said, I would be open to dating a Black guy because Black men just seem stronger. And I said, oh, you get it. Now you get why they're being shot. She's like, what?
What?
I said, yeah. I said, now you get, with that perspective, those sunglasses. I didn't have your language back then.
Yeah.
Stronger, more dangerous. I got to shoot this guy.
Wow.
And then she had tears running down her face at the restaurant. She's like, oh my God, I'm part of the problem. She had no idea.
No idea, right? Because
that when you see, yes. But because of I think that the intimacy and because our friendship was so solid.
Yes.
She allowed me to challenge her without saying, get in your car and go home,
Yeah, for sure. And you were willing to sit in it with somebody who didn't like it's also can be extremely painful when somebody doesn't recognize that a belief system they have also coincides with pain you're experiencing.
Yeah.
And that you're willing to stay in that with people who don't Like there is so many things that I'm sure I've caused pain in people and I had no idea I was
I
doing
had
it.
no idea.
And how blessed am I that people remained in my presence long enough
Yeah.
for me to have a revelation. Like that's
Yeah.
powerful in and of itself.
Isn't that beautiful? I
Beautiful.
mean, the fact that people, they can see your sunglasses, you
Yeah.
cannot, and yet they still love you
Yep.
and they're willing to continue in conversation with you.
Yeah.
Not even, I think the real love is, I'm not going to continue in friendship with you in order to get you to see it my way.
Yes.
But I'm going to continue in friendship with you because I love you. And I do
Yep.
have a hope that you're going to see the world and yourself differently.
Yeah.
So, your profession, you help people achieve results through breakthrough, is how I would
Yes.
describe it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really a great way to describe it. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because none of what we do is how-to training. Like I was
No.
just got off the phone with somebody yesterday and her organization that she just started in the last 6 months, or she started it over 6 months ago, but in the last 6 months, it's gone up $2 million in evaluation. And
Wow.
she attributes a lot of that to the trainings. And none of what we did was how to grow a business to $2 million.
No.
All of what it was is what about you is in the way of creating a $2 million business.
Yes. So you help people like me get out of our own way.
Yeah. That's my and
I'm taking
take
an
the best and
inventory
make
of,
them better. I don't believe
yeah.
sometimes people hear what I do and they're like, "Oh, you're a change expert. Oh, you work on
No.
people uncovering things." Oh, and it's like and they think that it's about like fixing people and I'm like, "Absolutely not. I don't think there's one person on the planet that needs training like this." And I think
No.
people deserve an opportunity to see something they never saw before. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm fanatical about.
Yeah. What I think is wonderful is that when I can take off some sunglasses, I can, first of all, recognize where they came from
Yeah.
and get even healed from that.
Totally.
But also, yeah, but when you see, I think the greatest thing you can see properly is yourself.
I would hope so.
The greatest thing, yeah, the greatest thing you can see properly is yourself. And so I think in reading this book, it blessed my life so much. I'm sure I'm going to listen to it again and again.
That's good.
And I'll recommend it for sure.
Thanks.
But this idea of how am I seeing the world that's getting in my own way? I'm going to tell you something very personal.
Yeah.
I
Favorite
was
stuff.
going to look on a public podcast. Let me tell you something very personal. But
I love that. I'm all about it.
Me
I think
too.
we deserve more of that in our world. Let's be more
We
real.
do. So I was heading off to preach 3 times at a ladies' retreat. Beautiful location on the water. Loved it.
Yeah.
And the title was about the righteous are as bold as a lion.
Yeah.
And so the Lord said, I'm going to give you 3 messages. I'm going to give you 1 message in 3 parts. Understand that you're righteous, pray bold prayers, make bold moves.
It's good.
And so yeah, isn't it good?
Good.
So this idea of receive your identity, partner with God, do the thing. Yeah, you know? Yeah. So I'm fired up. I'm studying. I'm praying. I'm excited. I woke up one morning and I heard the voice of the Lord say, I take issue with your level of expectation. I know. I was excited to go. I'm like, I'm going to go and get these ladies riled up. Come on, sisters, Krystal.
I will tell you another very intimate story about my conversations with God because they sound very similar.
Yeah. So this idea, he's like, basically that's the Lord saying, your sunglasses, how you see yourself are affecting. He said, you're excited about their life. You're going to go get them ready. But what the stuff you're asking me for, your expectation is way too low.
Wow.
Yes.
Woo.
Uh-huh.
Have you read The Last Arrow by Erwin McManus?
No, I need to. Okay.
I'm not a rereader. I love that you are. And I've reread that book 4 or 5 times. And it's really profound for me.
Okay.
And he speaks to praying small prayers so that we don't
Yes.
embarrass God when they don't happen, because we don't have faith that that the big thing's gonna come through. And it just, I mean, that one just
Yes.
rocked me in like,
Oh yeah.
where am I pulling back on my, like, I could embarrass God. What
As
nonsense.
if, trust me, there's enough people. Oh, this is going to sound so terrible. There's enough people call themselves Christians being mean and crazy out there. If you're going to embarrass the Lord, it's not going to be because you believe him to do something good. If you're gonna embarrass the Lord, it's because you got on a Jesus shirt, flipping people off and traffic.
There was a shirt I saw one time that said Jesus loves you on the front, and the back of it says like, the rest of us think you're a jerk or something. Like, oh, feedback to my people. Oh, okay. I better look at that personally. Who thinks I'm a jerk? I'm not representing Jesus well, if that's the case.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Wow.
the kind of, that idea of whew,
Yeah.
pulling back,
Yeah.
not really praying those bold prayers.
Bold prayers. So I'm guessing you raised your expectations of what he was going to deliver.
Yes, I did. It was quite amazing. We had all kinds of interesting healings. I don't even refer to myself as a healing person. I'm a leadership trainer, but yet people have been getting healed, and it's been beautiful.
I will tell you, I had an absolute experience of that with you at City Churches Advance when you came up and prayed with me. Like, you spoke directly to the need, and your lead into that altar call wasn't even what I was expecting in moving. I just knew I was moving towards your message as a whole.
Yeah.
And you met me exactly where I was at, and the Lord spoke directly through you to my heart, and I left feeling lighter, which is healing for me. Like,
wow. Yes,
Stuff,
absolutely.
right?
This is amazing.
So
I'm
healing
so thrilled.
I'm like, she might not recognize me with mascara on, because I think it was never left after I left you. There was no mascara on my face.
That's it. I'm not winning. Like, who's coming? Pam? No makeup today.
Pam, no mascara today. Don't need it. Not gonna serve the context.
Yeah, no makeup today.
But I've had like very similar conversations with God. So when my husband and I got married, and I've had probably a really maybe different walk with Jesus than I think everybody's is so different, right? My husband wasn't a Christian when we got married, and my faith was, because when we got married, it was all like, oh, well, I'm a Christian, but I don't like religion, so this is gonna work. He promised me I could raise my kids in the loving Jesus, so we're gonna be okay. Well, then my faith is growing, and we're creating this gap. Yes. And now I'm in, like, on my knees in prayer, right? That he meets the Lord. And he's like, I didn't change, you changed, right?
Yep.
So, and I'm the one that chose, and we're in it, and now we got babies and the whole gig.
Yeah.
And it's 2020. And I'm like probably 6 months into knowing the Muncies well, right? Like, we're and it's 2020, and I'm ready to go. Like, we watched some violent stuff out of our condo window. We just were like, we don't need to do this,
oh
right?
My gosh.
We do something different, and we'll just move. And then I remember, like, a week later, I was praying, and I was like, God, why you talk to Pam? You talk to they tell me, they hear your voice, right?
You
don't talk to me like that. Like, I know that you move me in my life, but more like, what are the gutter ball things that come up?
Oh, yeah. Those bumpers.
That's how God talks. The bumper lanes. Like,
the
nope,
experience.
Right back. Yep. I hit the bumper lanes. That's how God works in me. I have a knowingness, but I don't hear his voice, right? And he's like, well, you don't like what I have to say.
Oh, my.
I was like, I'm listening, And he goes, great, you're not allowed to leave Chicago until your husband gets baptized. And I went, I don't like that. And he was like, point. And I was like, oh gosh, just humbled me so hard.
But it takes humility, doesn't it, to deal with how we see. Oh my gosh.
And for me, partners so well with me in the self-awareness work I've done. He just uses it in my life because he knows it's something that I'm willing to look at, right? So he constantly weaves that together for me. And I went, okay, I hear you, and they don't know what to do with that. And in that season, I started joking about it, which probably is not the most self-developed thing. I just didn't, my husband wasn't even close to wanting that decision. And I wasn't going to tell him, well, you better go dunk your head, because if we want to go anywhere, like, how do I navigate this? I don't even know where to start. And and then I'll just fast forward, because you don't probably need the long version. I started just saying, like, well, to friends, not even to my husband. He didn't know this was the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And by the end of that year, maybe a little bit longer, maybe it was November 2021. That's when it was. He was just, we were in our room. He was actually ironing my pants. I was leaving for a seminar because he's the best husband on the planet. And he said, I think I'm going to get baptized. And you could have knocked, I'm like, be cool, Zellmer, be cool, be cool, be cool.
Yeah. Don't go dust off those pom-poms you had tucked away, waiting for this moment.
Yeah. Yes. And then, like, our journey from there, and the whole thing has been just so beautiful. And it started in a conversation, being honest about, I don't hear your voice, and I don't like, and he's like, well, I don't like your response. And here we are. And I don't necessarily get the clear audible message. Like I feel like other people he speaks to that way. He still speaks to me through the bumper rails. And that's okay, because I know, and I go, hey, God, like, I'm here, and I just want to hear.
I just want to hear. I want to know. He'll give you that peace.
Yeah, totally.
So tell us about this seminar. I know I need to let you go, but tell us about these seminars. How can someone get involved? How can I show up? Because I know I need more. I need more Krystal in my life.
We're totally different than what your typical company does. And I always tell people that up front, because we're not for everybody, right? Like, it's an intensive training. It's 3 days, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And we do approximately 6 a month all over the country and Canada.
Wow.
So it's not just me. You'll get a different facilitator. It actually probably won't be me. And we also, so that's called Personal Mastery. We do a sister class to that class called The Quickening, which has prayer and scripture and same modules, and really wrapped in the presence of God. And like, I'm always praying before a class. You just don't know I'm praying before a class unless
it just depends on the audience. I know what that's like. Yeah.
Totally. My dad used to call it Jehovah Sneaky. That's we're gonna walk with everybody, right?
Me too. We love everybody. We're gonna serve everybody. And if you're not comfortable praying with me, that's okay. I'm gonna pray for you privately. But I'm still gonna love you, and I'm still gonna serve you.
100%. 100%. So we do about 6 to 8 of those a month. And they're 3 days of experiential games and exercises. Because nobody in that room is going to tell you the belief systems that are sunglasses that are running in your life. The whole process is about you noticing your feelings and noticing your behaviors in a real-time environment, so that you can discover sunglasses. So that you can have quantum leaps of change. And I love it. It's really a powerful weekend. We even offer a money back guarantee. You attend all 3 days. You don't love what we do, then you can get your money back within 30 days of the class. So
I love it.
That's what we do. And you can go to Clemmer.com/PM, stands for Personal Mastery, or Clemmer.com/quickening. And either one of those will lead you to where we're going to be around the country.
Yeah. Thank you so much again for being my guest. Thank you for writing this book. And I'm going to look into showing up. I may just need to pop in. I love activities and fun things like that. I remember one time having a leadership team play musical chairs.
Yes.
And the violence. Oh, they chose violence. We were talking about a scarcity mindset. And so I had them play musical chairs. You know, every time the music stops, it gets less, it gets smaller. So now I've got to, you know.
Yes, it's so good. That's a game and an exercise designed for you to
yeah. Oh yeah.
Perfect.
So I think we have similar teaching styles, because I love for them to just kind of, we call them activations, where get up and move and do something that kind of proves the point and lets you see it. So I just wish you all the best, that helping us to, I think the more of those sunglasses that we take off, the healthier we become, the more honest, the more humble we become. And we can get out of our way and really get those results. I'm determined to live my life with intention. Even more than ever.
And my encouragement is every time you take a set of sunglasses off, a void doesn't remain a void. So putting something on that for us in the context of Christianity lines up with the word of God.
Yes.
Or something that you can pull in that's a belief system that will move you forward, so that you don't slip back into the other pattern.
Oh, so good. Because those patterns do exist, you know?
Absolutely. Neural pathways, they're real.
Yeah, they absolutely do exist. I've been reading a little bit about the growth mindset and in preparation for this group coaching thing. So that's a hot word for me right now. But Krystal, I love you. I wish you all the absolute best. And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. We'll be on the books. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I super appreciate it.
Catch me on social media at PR The Builder. Visit me online at pamross.com. Catch you next time.